everyone, and welcome to an episode of Crypto Currently. Today we are going to discuss the CBOE withdrawal of their proposed ETF caused by the government shutdown, spoiler, and also John McAfee running his presidential campaign from exile, and some of the ways that United States are independently dealing with cryptocurrency. So, stay right there. Okay, so first up, before we get started today, I want to thank very much my one subscriber. Thank you so much for subscribing. Other people who might be watching this video, please take a minute and subscribe to the channel. I am working on making this, a good place to get information and think about some of the evolutions that are happening here in the blockchain space. Also, please do me a favor and like the video. I sure would appreciate your help in getting into the YouTube algorithm. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the CBOE withdrawing their request for the Van Eck ETF. So there was a rumor going around that if the request wasn't withdrawn during the duration of the government shutdown, that it would be by default approved. That actually wasn't the case, and so they did go ahead and withdraw their request for an ETF approval from the SEC because they're not working right now. So or at least it's like a skeleton crew. So they have withdrawn their requests, and they have said that they are, when the government is back to work again, they will go ahead and refile their proposal. So it is certainly not happening, but it's not happening right now. And of course, it wasn't happening right now because the government is shut down, and it does need to go through their approval process. And, then there's like a comment period, and there's just a bunch of stuff that we're waiting on. This delay also is, the reason for the delay in BACT. But on a side note, BACT is, even though they are waiting on the CFTC to come back to work, they are proceeding as if things are going to be happening for them. And they are hiring for different positions within the company, and certainly still moving forward with their plans to have the first Bitcoin settled contracts. So I think that's really great. Of course, I doubt that the Bitcoin that they buy for BACT is going to be purchased at spot prices, but it is wonderful to see that there will actually be a requirement for physical Bitcoins. So that is certainly very interesting. There's definitely a lot of people waiting patiently or impatiently for that to happen. But in the meantime, in order to, I think, avoid being denied, they did go ahead and withdraw the request here. The CBOE withdrew their request for the Van Eck Solid X Bitcoin ETF. Now, that happened yesterday, I believe, and you may have expected the price to really be hurt by that, but it really wasn't. So I think maybe people had already anticipated that this was not going to be coming in any reasonable amount of time, and maybe this was kind of already priced in, or perhaps, I don't know, perhaps we're just kind of sitting at a very, we're just trading sideways right now. I think, Bitcoin's going, the technicals look like Bitcoin will have a pretty big move coming soon, because we can only move sideways for so long while the price gets squeezed. But, time will tell which way we break. So until then, I think it's important to both look at technical analysis and fundamental analysis. So I'm focusing on the fundamentals over here. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about John McAfee, because he's always an interesting figure to talk about here in crypto. So John McAfee has been thumbing his nose at the IRS for years, and he has been asking them, he has said he has not filed taxes in 8 years, and has asked the IRS to come after him and come find him. So they have tried to come find him. So now John McAfee is in exile. He appears to be on his boat, and says that he will be running his presidential campaign from said boat. So the IRS has filed in Tennessee, I believe, and they have filed for unspecified crimes of a felonious nature against he and his wife and 4 of his campaign workers. So, you know, the IRS is certainly not wanting to miss out on all of the gains from Mr. McAfee here. He did release a video on Twitter, if you want to watch it, that talks about his exile and the IRS coming after him. So, all right. Now, as the government shut down, not enough to not come after Mr. McAfee, but they are not proceeding here on a federal level with either from the SEC or from the CFTC right now. But what we are seeing is at a state level, more and more states are coming forward to take a stand and make a position on how they're going to classify and treat digital currencies in now and in the future. So here in New Hampshire, there have been crypto tax payment bill has been put forward. And I think that is really interesting because one of the things that people talk about when they talk about the future of fiat currency is the necessity for fiat currency, because that's the currency which is accepted for tax payments. Now, we've already seen the state of Ohio accept cryptocurrency for tax payments, but now we will, it is proposed that we will also see crypto tax payments being accepted in New Hampshire. They definitely have to iron out the fine details, but maybe they can look to the state of Ohio, who already did that, to get some ideas on what to use as far as the conversion back to fiat currency or to the management and storage of digital assets. I certainly think that they're going to be, well, it says here, tax payments received by the state would need to be converted to US dollars, or alternatively, mitigate such risk by continually monitoring cryptocurrency levels held by the state to ensure there is as much demand for state payments to vendors and payees as the state has in its, quote, inventory. So if this is implemented, New Hampshire agencies would start accepting cryptocurrencies on July 1st of 2020. The next state, this is this article here that talks about New Hampshire as well, also links to a lot of different articles that have been previously written about the state of Wyoming, who has been really positioning itself as a leader in the blockchain space and a place that wants to really support the development in this space. So I'm really enjoying following what's going on in in Wyoming, most notably that they have introduced the bill aiming to define virtual currencies as money, because really, I mean, that is just huge for the classification of cryptocurrency, by a state. That's really something to watch out for. Okay, so on the flip side of that, let's see, we have Pennsylvania, who actually just made a bill that excludes cryptocurrency from the definition of money. So totally here on the flip side of the state of Wyoming, the state of Pennsylvania just said that cryptocurrency is not money. It says here in this article here that the Department of Banking and Securities had 3 years of delays and numerous inquiries from businesses, produced a clarification regarding the Money Transmission Business Licensing Law, aka the Money Transmitter Act of Pennsylvania. And they said that the law does not apply to crypto-related businesses such as platforms used for the trading of virtual currencies and Bitcoin ATMs. So they say that it is not money. And the phrase here, quote, a medium of exchange currently authorized or adopted by a domestic or foreign government, carries the most significance, because that basically says that since Bitcoin isn't recognized by any government, that it is by definition not currency. So there's like a positive to this in that They are saying that exchanges and money handlers are not violating the Money Transmitter Act, as well as having Bitcoin ATMs is not violating any Money Transmitter Act. So that's great. But as far as moving forward, I think that it might be limiting here in the state of Pennsylvania to have to already have this classification say that it's not money. I think it's kind of early in the game to be really trying to define this really at all. And quite frankly, that's like my biggest issue with this forthcoming regulation is this space is in its infancy. And I think to give something a name can really change its trajectory in the future. And so for Pennsylvania to come out and say this is not money at this point, when it is still such a small market, I don't like that for the future. But anyway, that's the news here on the state of Pennsylvania. So next up is the state of New York. It is very difficult to get approval in the state of New York to get a bit license. And here we have that Robinhood just got its bit license, as well as LibertyX. So of course, Robinhood is an app that you can use for exchanging, for trading both traditional assets as well as cryptocurrencies. The cryptocurrency, however, has been rolling out kind of state by state where it is allowed, and New York was not on the list of permitted states to have the cryptocurrency portion because they had not received their bit license, but now they do have that. And then LibertyX is a Bitcoin ATM service, and they have also been granted their bit license. So even though the US government is not doing anything right now, except hunting down John McAfee, they are not standing in the way of states coming forward and making their own rulings and their own decisions on how they want to treat this space. So certainly states' rights are, I think, very important and something that I would like to see respected. So, I think that this kind of reminds me of the way medical marijuana is right now, where there are the majority of states at this point have come out and said, medical marijuana is okay, or even recreational marijuana is okay, but the federal government has doubled down on it still being a Schedule 1 drug. So, that states are able to make their own decisions, I think is, well, that's really like a founding principle of the country. So I like that, and I like that the states are taking the initiative to make their own decisions here with cryptocurrency and not just waiting for the feds. So, all right. Next up is talking about federal stuff. Coinbase integrates TurboTax to help U.S. clients file crypto taxes. So it can be very complicated to figure out what is and is not a taxable event here in the cryptocurrency space. So Coinbase has partnered with TurboTax, which, if you're not familiar with, TurboTax is software that you can use to prepare your own tax returns, and it's released by Intuit. So they've teamed up with Coinbase and Coinbase Pro clients, which will allow them to upload their transactions, gains, and losses in 2018 directly to TurboTax Premier. And that's just one of their products. Coinbase customers can upload as many as 100 transactions at once, according to a press statement from Coinbase. Also, this article goes on to talk about a couple of other services that are being integrated into TurboTax this year. So that's great that they are coming forward and helping us to figure out what it is that we need to be figuring out here for cryptocurrency. They also have CPAs that are available to speak to if you have specific questions and are using, a certain level of service. So that is what's going on here with Coinbase and TurboTax. I'm definitely curious to see what's going to happen with Coinbase. I've heard rumors of them issuing 1099s this year. I don't know how they figure out, if you buy cryptocurrency from a different place, and it's a first in, first out situation, I don't really understand how they figure out what your cost basis is on a particular asset without having access to your entire portfolio. So I definitely think that it'll be very interesting to see what comes out in the 1099 front here from exchanges. So, because their scope is small, so I don't really understand that. But anyway, we'll see. Okay, so if you liked the video, then please go ahead and leave a like, and definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the little notification bell so that you're notified whenever I post new content. And please leave me a comment in the comment section if you have any questions or want to give me any feedback about the video. I sure would appreciate it. All right, well, thank you very much for your time today, everyone. I will see you next time.